what were they trying to teach in these mystery schools, which is a lot of different things, but one of them was overcoming fear. So now this leads us to our discussion question. Okay, what has been some of your greatest fears and how did you overcome them? Okay. So again, the question, what has been some of your greatest fears and how did you overcome them? And while you're thinking about that, I'll share a quick story about my greatest fears. If you know and seen all the past different videos and recordings about from Electus Society and the different trainings, you know I've talked about my history of my life, my history with my relationships with my wife, the different things that I did that I was not very proud of in terms of growing up without really a strong mother figure, seeking out love and attention and affection from other people, other women, and things like that. And my life really changed when I did the Landmark Worldwide Forum course, that 3-day course where I ended up taking all their additional courses and being one of their coaches for their 4-month leadership program. And what we did in that 3-day conference was very, very powerful. One was we learned about integrity, which is something that we talk about a lot here in Electus Society. But the second thing that comes with integrity is, can you take full responsibility for everything that you've done in your life, everything that you said, everybody that you've harmed or hurt? And there's a lot of different fears that people have that prevents them from taking action. There's the fear of being liked by other people, right? That other people won't like them, or that people will judge them or criticize them, of being completely ostracized and alienated, right? There could be multiple fears. So there also be a fear of death, all that other kind of stuff. So for me, one of my greatest fears was lack of love and affection and connection. So even though my wife had said, Tim, if you do anything to hurt me, I'll divorce you, I'll leave you. And that was a really kind of scary thing for me to confront, because I had done these horrible things. I was unfaithful. And it's like, what do I do? And in this course of Landmark Worldwide, they basically say, okay, we're going to do a visualization exercise. And you have to visualize every terrible thing that you've done, or whatever they had me figure out, or whatever fear it was. And I had to imagine that my entire family found out about this. And so I'm have my eyes closed and I'm imagining now not only my family learning everything of terrible that I've done. I imagine, now expand to your whole entire community. Imagine your job finds out. Imagine the whole world. Imagine like a newscast. So all your fears are being amplified in this visualization experience. And so you're like terrified. You're feeling all these emotions. And then it's important for you to feel all that, because in the end, you out of that experience, you have peace and calm, right? Can you actually know what it feels like and have a sense of power, to take full responsibility, to not have any fears anymore? And it was very, very intense. And again, I didn't. It was a very powerful exercise, but I don't think it ended there. I ended up, talking with my wife. I ended up taking responsibility and told her the truth about what I had done. Why? Because my intention was to save the relationship. But guess what happened? I was prepared mentally to be able to say, listen, what you do right now can end your relationship with your wife. But if you want a loving relationship, you have to be honest with her, right? You have to be able to confront this, because deep down she knows she doesn't feel safe. And so I did it. And it was very scary. I almost threw up in my mouth, actually, even trying to talk to her and tell her these things. But do you know what happened after that? Like, I couldn't, I like lost all my fear. I felt a sense of power. So to me, there is something very important in this lifetime for each and every one of you, is to really learn to gain control of your emotions and fears and not let them overcome you. So that's how I did with mine, right? And to this day, I still love, trying to overcome my fears. I've gone skydiving. I've gone, I've even started my own business. I've even started my own, Duffy Leadership Incorporated, to do speaking engagements. That was kind of scary. I started Electus Society, my 501c nonprofit, and these are very big scary things to do them on your own, but every time you do it, you get stronger and stronger. So that's my story. I just thought I'd share with you to kind of get the ball rolling. So who here wants to share on what's been some of your fears and how have you been able to overcome them. Does anybody like to share? Should I call on some people?
Well,
Henry?
yeah, Tim, like I said earlier, mine is due dates and deadlines, Tim, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's your greatest fear is due dates and deadlines, but there's probably something more behind the due dates and deadlines, right?
yeah, I mean, like just not getting it done, time running out before I complete my mission.
Mm,
That's just not in one aspect, you know.
okay. Well, Henry, can you allow me to go a little deeper with you on this topic?
Sure.
So I know you as an elected society member. You've been very supportive. You're one of the founding members. We've talked a while. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going to go out a limb because I think I know you, right? I think we know each other quite well. And what you may be experiencing, I think other members of elective society may experience as well. From what I know about you, Henry, you're a very honorable person. You're very hardworking. However, here's what you do. You care so much about people, right? That oftentimes I would describe it as you take the shirt off your back, right? You do anything to really kind of help people, right? Hey, stop everything that you're doing and I need to help them. But there's a tendency there when I hear, hey, I'm so afraid of deadlines and stuff like that, it's because maybe, again, you correct me if I'm wrong, you go above and beyond and overcommit yourself, and it comes from this place or maybe this fear that maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I'm not helping enough, and so you say yes, 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 and guess what ends up happening? You've said yes to too many people, you've taken on too much, and what ends up happening is you end up feeling frustrated because you can't complete what you committed to do. Now, Henry, I did a little psychoanalysis. Again, I'm not a psychotherapist, but you tell me if I'm on the right track, or what are your thoughts about what I'm sharing with you?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment, Tim, to be honest.
Got
Uh,
it.
yeah, we do have a history, and you do know a lot of the things that I've been challenged with throughout my course of my academic and personal life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have a tendency to take on more than maybe I should at times, and that leads to other things.
Yeah. So here's my invitation for you, right? And this goes for other people. If your fear is missing deadlines, right, and doing that, then there are tools that can help you to do this. The first thing is experience the feeling of what would it be like to actually disappoint others, and really kind of feel that feeling. Imagine the people being so disappointed in you and know what that feels like, right? Feel those emotions, feel that tingling and sensations. And then I invite you to say, this feeling that I'm experiencing, I don't want this anymore. I want to release it. Okay. I don't want to be governed by this. I don't want to experience this anymore. So you can visualize a purple flame consuming it, burning it. You could even do something physical, writing this fear down, tearing a piece of paper. But it's very important for you to have a cathartic experience releasing all these fears and emotions, right? Because fears and emotions are just kind of like a vibrations, right? Once you release it and make a conscious decision, it can no longer get a hold of you. And then what ends up happening is, now that you have that epiphany and release that, okay, now I've done this, I've experienced this, how can I go moving forward? Well, here's what you can do. Use some of the tools that we've talked about in elective society. Instead of making commitments, your task will be to say no a lot more, or to not take on new, because that's stepping outside your comfort zone, right? For you to say no to people when you really want to help them, or want to, save them, or whatever it might be. And the other thing is, do what I do, and I'm constantly working on this on myself. I lie to myself. That sounds terrible, right? No, I pretend that I have deadlines that are much earlier than the actual deadline. So all this week, as I was actually working on my presentation for even for this thing, I didn't pretend that my session was on Sunday. I had to pretend in my mind that the session happened on Saturday, and then I had to work on it on Friday. And then when it was Sunday, when I'm working on my last minute kind of changes, the present changes, and I had to say, the presentation's due at 3 o'clock. Lie to myself. And so I'm working really hard to do those changes to the presentation, and 3 o'clock happens, and I'm like, "Ooh, all right, it's not 3 o'clock. I still have some more time." So you've built in these buffers, and that can kind of help you because you're human. You can get distracted and things like that. Do you think, are those tips helpful for you, Henry?
Yeah, yeah, Tim, that was great.
All
And
right.
yeah, I think I kind of do that at times, but just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great, Tim.
and
Thanks.
and remember, forgive yourself in the sense that, if you say no to everybody, you can stay home and watch Netflix all you want, and you won't do anything. It takes something to be on the court and actually to say yes to help out people, because like, I even had moments of right today, before this presentation, I'm like, do I really want to do this training today? No, I'm a human just like you. I'd rather be doing sometimes other things, but then it's constantly overcoming your emotions to not let them control you, where you end up having breakthroughs, right? And the reason I'm sharing all these kind of tips and best practices, because I know what you're going through, because I go through the same thing, and so remember, it's not about being perfect. Okay, you're perfect just the way you are right now. It's about, can I just be a little bit better than I was yesterday? Okay, those little kind of baby steps. I usually procrastinate half an hour before I need to do thing. If I can just procrastinate, only 25 minutes versus 30 minutes, well, guess what? You are better, Henry, than you were yesterday. So that's the little ways to overcome your fears. That's the other ways to make those constant improvement, and then you stop beating yourself up. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Tim.
No, I appreciate it. And thanks for being vulnerable. And I'm sharing this experience because, again, I think other people who are watching this recording can actually learn from that experience. So, all right, let's keep going for the sake of time. Uh, let's talk about overcoming fear. So this, I think, is really, really cool that I got out of this book. So the following ceremony that I'm about to share all with you that I got out of this book, it's a perfect example of the importance that Egyptian placed on overcoming fear, on the negative emotions. Fear was and still is the primary force that stops a person from growing into the light. As we move into higher worlds of light, right, where once we die, one perspective is that we go through different dimensions and things like that. What we think and feel, we manifest, which goes back to part one training, right? What is consciousness? Our ability of our thoughts and feelings to create reality. And guess what? The fact that nature becomes a tremendous problem, since we almost always manifest our fears first. So in order to survive in the higher worlds, we must first overcome our fears in earth. So to that one perspective, this whole life existence, this is one big simulation for us to overcome our fears, to feel connected with the oneness of everything, to love, to become ambassadors of light. And there's no other better opportunity than in this lifetime right now to confront our fears. So again, I think that's pretty cool. So now I want you to all pretend that you are back in Egypt. Okay, you're part of the mystery school, and so your teacher basically tells you, okay, students, what I want you to see is stand in front of this little pit right here that's full of water. Okay, and it's only like a couple 3 feet by 3 or 4 feet, like a yard each way. And I want you to hold your breath. Okay, and I want you to, for as long as you can, go down into this deep pit and come out the other side and overcome your fears. You ready? You only have one breath to do it. Go. Can you imagine what that experience would be like, standing at that pit and jumping in? Well, again, this was an opportunity to work on your fears. So if you could imagine, if you're a person who's very fearful of the dark, of not knowing what's going to happen again, etc., this could be terrifying, right? And the idea of not being able to breathe, again, even more terrifying. So guess what? If you are nervous and very scared and you're like, I just have to do it, and you jump in, guess what? You could end up really hurting yourself, because guess what? As soon as you jump into the well, guess what? It's not a straight down well. It actually has little bumps and indentations, and you can actually hit your head. And so imagine going down the well, and then suddenly there's a block towards you. If you don't have calm of mind, calm of spirit, calm of emotions, you can't navigate this. So then you have to go deeper, and you go around that bend, and then you go deeper, and then there's another bend, and then you have to go even deeper. Can you imagine all this while you're holding your breath? And then suddenly you hit the floor, and then down below there's a little opening. All right, so then you go down underneath it. You don't even know where you're going. You know, your tendency is to want to go back where you came from. You don't know how far this tunnel goes. Your fears are really coming up right now. Then guess what happens? You see a crocodile. Not only one crocodile, many crocodiles as you come up underneath it, and they're all swimming above you. Okay, now you're terrified. Okay, you have to feel those emotions of the crocodiles. You see a stairwell, and you're like, oh my God, can I actually not get eaten? Can I actually overcome this fear? And this is what these Egyptians did in the mystery schools to overcome your fear. So you deal with it. You're running out of breath. You swim really quickly, and you see the steps, and you get out as fast as you can. Guess what the leaders of the mystery school teach you? They say, I'm sorry to let you know, Tim, you have now failed the test. You're like, what? You know, I was able to hold my breath, go under the water. I was able to swim past the alligators. It's like, no, you still have to go back and do it again until you complete the test correctly. And so you have to do this all over again. This is kind of like life. And so guess what the actual answer to the test is in order to overcome this? Not only do you have to overcome the fear and see the crocodiles, you have to actually even go even deeper to where it's even darker, and then go underneath and just come out to the other side. And then that is the actual test, and you've actually passed the test. And in case you're wondering, how could these like spiritual teachers be so reckless and have crocodiles that could eat you alive? You know, you could die in this ministry school. Well, unbeknownst to them, guess what? The crocodiles were all fed full meals prior to them swimming in the water. So once a crocodile's full, if you don't agitate or anything, it's not going to bother you. So again, this was another opportunity for you to overcome your fears. Is that cool or what? You know, this was in volume 2 of the book, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. But I thought this was so interesting, and I hope that you guys find it as fascinating as I did. You know, and there's an actual temple called Kom Ombo, and Thoth, this ascended master, would teach Drunvalo and Melchizedek where it was, how they did this, and stuff like that, which most people wouldn't even know. But of course, he had that inside knowledge. So thank you so much for watching this video clip about conscious leadership. If you are committed to helping to create more conscious leaders in this world, that is, leaders with more humility, more integrity, more awareness, that take constructive action, then consider helping us by making a donation. Our goal is to have 600 conscious leaders develop before the end of this year. Currently, as of December 1st, we already have 400 members. And again, with your help, we can grow even further. How can you help us? Simply make a donation. If you visit buymeacoffee.com/Electus Society, you can either choose to give a monthly donation and join, and you get different access to a lot of these different membership benefits, or simply make a one-time donation. Click on the heart support button, choose 1, 3, 5, or type in any number of amount of coffees. Hit the support button, and you can upload your card information on the secure platform. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and let's continue our mission of building more leaders. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.